This video is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, namely Mr. Roldan Ardinas, to use this as an educational use material. Good day, sir. Good day, cadets. In behalf of my group mates, allow me to introduce myself. I am Deck Cadet Dela Cruz Kyle Anthony to welcome you in our report entitled of Global Media Cultures, and we are the Group 3. For our objectives, first, the history or stages of global media and culture, and will be discussed by Deck Cadet Dela Cruz Kyle Anthony and Deck Cadet Mercado Gemmar. Second, analyze how various media drive various forms of global integration and explain the dynamic between local and global cultural production. It will be discussed by Deck Cadet Lastima, Dan Brian, and Deck Cadet Jabagat Ceejay. Third, what is the role of media in globalization? Will be discussed by Deck Cadet Belangigue GR and Deck Cadet Agrabio Heartwell. Fourth, give the pros and cons of media globalization. Will be discussed by Deck Cadet Ynot John and Deck Cadet Coñado Stephen. Fifth, is there globalization without media? Will be discussed again by Deck Cadet Dela Cruz and Deck Cadet Mercado. And lastly, sixth, is media globalization a form of cultural imperialism? Will be discussed by Deck Cadet Regala, Reil, and Deck Cadet Arevalo Hans Rassel. History or stages of global media cultures. So first, let's define culture. Culture, according to Webster Dictionary, is a customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. It is also a characteristic features of everyday existence, such as a diversion or a way of life, shared by people in place or time. Like for example, we have our own personality. We have traditions that we follow in our society. Our beliefs, all of these are part of culture. And some other parts of our culture, like what I said, is that what are the customs, traditions in our country? What is our language? What is our religion? Also part of culture is what the system of economics in our country and also forms of government are part of culture. And the parts of it are the different rules or laws that we should be followed to ensure that a one country will have a law and order. And culture is a unified style of human knowledge, beliefs, behavior from which people learn, and the ability to communicate knowledge to the next generations. Its development has mainly influenced by media. Next is global media. Global media refers to forms of mass communications that reach across the world. The term media, which is the plural of medium, refers to the communication channels through which we disseminate news, music, education, promotional messages, and other data. So to focus about media, which means a communication channel, we can also say that this can be a passageway from where we can pass the information we want to be noticed or be seen in media. It includes physical and online newspaper like magazines, television, radio, billboards, telephones, to internet or social media like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. It describes the various ways through we communicate in society, because it refers to all means of communication. Everything ranging from a telephone call to the evening news on television can be called media. Global media history means three things. First, the history of media as global connectors and forces of globalization that enable promoted transnational flows of news, text, pictures, information, ideas, and lifestyle. Second, the history of mass media in regions beyond the United States and Europe. Third, the history of ways in which governments and other historical actors used media to promote cross-national and international connections, messages, and interactions.
So these are the four ages of global media. First is pre-industrial age. So pre-industrial age is a time before there were machines and tools to help perform tasks en masse. The second is industrial age. So the industrial age is defined by mass production, broadcasting, the rise of the nation-state power, modern machine, and running water. Third is electronic age. The electronic age began when electronic equipment and large technologies, including computers, came into use. And the last is digital media. The digital media, known as information age, is a historical period that began in the mid-20th century, characterized by a rapid epochal shift from traditional industry establishment by the Industrial Revolution to an economy primarily based upon information technology. Media culture. Media culture refers to the culture created under the influence of mass media. The concept of media culture infers its impact on society's information, consumption, and intellectual guidance. Media culture tends to be a major factor in the formation of mainstream culture since it affects society's opinions, values, tastes, attitudes, and informational availability. This only means that media has influence on how we look at different things in our society. Media can also influence our opinion in our own belief of the different things like our attitudes. Part of media is form of what we want or what we value and important to us. Because we consume this information through the media, it can involve and can have different point of view, especially we put this globalization. And because of globalization, people consume different information not just in our country but also international source. And with the media, it also focuses on globalization. 5 stages of media. First is oral communication. For the oral communication, language allow humans to communicate and share information. Language became the most important tool for exploring the world and the different cultures. Language can help people move and settle down. The second is script. It allows humans to communicate over a larger space and for much longer duration. It allows the permanent codification of economic, cultural, and political practices. Third is printing press. It allows the continuous production, reproduction, and circulation of print materials. Fourth is electronic media. It includes the telegraph, telephones, radio, film, and television. The wide range of these media continues to open up new perspective in economic, political, and cultural processes of globalization. The fifth is digital media. It allows the advertisement of products and online business transactions.
Good everyone, I am Decadet Denbine of Lastima, a third year BSMT student and part of Group 3, and I am assigned the topic, analyze how various media drive various forms of global integration. So, mass media today is seen as playing key role in enhancing globalization and facilitating cultural exchange in multiple flows of information, and especially in images between countries through international news, broadcasts, televisions, programming, new technologies, film, and lastly, music. So, based on my own understanding, media helps forms various global integration by broadcasting or publishing companies different ideas or methods with operating just to attain a goal or satisfy its needs. So today, media has a really big help, especially to the small and first timer that who wants to share what they can offer to the world or bring out what's currently in the fields and what they want to pursue and develop more, and or what they can offer. So media is like mass communication, and through media it can be televised and other people will know what is about their product, just like that. So media is really help to drive reforms through global integration.
So my topic is all about the dynamic between local and global cultural production. So global communities are made up of people from different countries with the goal to connect globally. Local communities are made up of people who live in the same country and have a common interest or passion. Culture have been always a result of the encounter of local developments with outside influence adventurers. Traders and warriors, for example, brought their culture to the world but were also influenced by what they encountered. Only post-World War II we saw the spread of kind of global culture, increasingly competing with replacing parts of local culture. This because initially this influence was embraced and welcomed. Fashion, music, literature, and the alien way of living was appealing to many and seen as exciting and enriching. Then, two factors brought a change of view and directions. First, the real and perceived negative impact of outside influence on local life, such as a loss of identity and jobs. Second, politicians that started to emphasize the negative sides of internationalization and globalization on local system, combined with human tendencies to largely filter out the negatives of the past, and the preference for the simple messages created a new populist trend and cultural tension between local and global protagonists. The increasing rejection of foreign cultural elements by larger parts of the population drove a rebound of traditional local cultures, but little new local cultural production was occurring. It was the try of a remake.
Good day, my name is Agrabio. So the question is, what is the role of media in globalization? Well, for me, social media has transformed the way that people communicate during the 21st century. This occurrence has transformed society in a globalized world by impacting social interactions, financial institutions, and way of completing transactions, way of communicating, as well as educated sector. The mass media are today seen as playing a key role in enhancing globalization and facilitating cultural exchange and multiple flows of information and image between countries through international news, broadcast, television, programming, new technologies, film, and etc. If before 1990s, mainstream media systems in the countries the worldwide were a relative nation in scope, since the most communications media have become increasingly global. extending their reach beyond the nation-state, the conquer audience worldwide. International flows and information have been assisted by the development of global capitalism, new technologies, and the increasing commercializations of global television. They are having experiences changes during the last few decades in regards to technology, but most important, how technology allows us society to communicate with one another. The media industry is in many ways perfect for globalization, or the spread of global trade without regard of traditional political borders. As discussed about, the low marginal cost of media mean that reaching a wider market creates much longer profit margins for media companies, because its information isn't physical good, shipping costs are generally inconsequential. Finally, the global reach of the media allowed it to be relevant in many different countries. However, some of them argue that media is actually a particular cause of globalization, rather than just another globalizing industry. Media is a largely controlled product, and when transforming such product is likely to have influence on the recipients. Increasing technology has also been propelling globalization. Technologies allows for quicker communications, fast and coordinated transport, and effective mass marketing, all of which allow globalization, especially globalized media, to take hold. That's it, thank you.
Good evening everyone, this is Cadet Belangigue, and we talk about what is the role of media in globalization. If we talk about the role of media in globalization, we should firstly say that what is media is. The media is media technologies that are intended to reach a large audience by mass communication. Today, the media play a key role in enhancing globalization, and the media also plays an important role in facilitating culture exchange flows of information between countries. The media spreads through international new broadcast, new technologies, television, programming, film and music. There are a lot of broadcasts of it is through media that people interpret events happening around them. There is a lot of empirical evidence which shows how much media can influence its audience. Rapid advancement of communication and technology made it more globalized. The emergence of internet and social media. Today, all forms of media are part of our everyday life. For example, we can say about internet, TV, radio, newspapers, books, billboards, and etc. The media connects the world to an internet of information easily accessible for all of us. Social media has transformed the way that people communicate during the 21st century. This occurrence has transformed society in globalized world by impacting social interactions, financial institutions and ways of completing transactions, ways of communicating, as well as the educational sector. Mass media in the process of globalization has definitely got a lot of positive and negative aspects, but however the advantages are way more, and therefore there is a remarkable progress and development in all economic, social, political, cultural and traditional aspects.
Technology makes us vulnerable. We have become so dependent on technology through online shopping, online banking, and data storage that we are more likely to have our information stolen so that we could be financially decimated within a short period of time. Another disadvantage of both technology and media is the flow of inappropriate content to certain age groups. With easy access to television and the internet, young children and teenagers are exposed to inappropriate content such as pornography, drug use, violence, and criminal activities. This was really happening right now, which those children are exposed to this inappropriate content. In addition, there is much room for a digital divide, where persons who do not have access to media and technology become isolated in relation to the rest of the world, thereby creating global inequalities. Just like both sides of a coin, globalization as it relates to media and technology has its pros and cons. However, in current times, globalization is at its peak. The main goal of globalization should be geared toward assisting the less fortunate countries, providing them with the best lifestyle opportunities that the more advanced countries already have. It should also focus on ensuring that all countries benefit from the advantages of globalizations within equal rights and by playing by the same rules.
So, good evening, this is Cadet Coñado, and I will be discussing the pros media globalization. So, there are 4 pros of media globalization. First is globalization broadens access to goods and services. Second is globalization can lift people out of poverty. Third is globalization increase cultural awareness. And the last one is the perception. So, globalization broadens access to goods and service. Makes more goods and service available to more people obtained at lower price. For example, if you have disabled income and you are buying a product that comes from abroad, you are benefiting from globalization to some extent. Business owner also it can be benefits by having increased to a bigger market for their goods and service. Second is globalization can lift people out of poverty. Globalization lift other people in developing countries poverty by deferring them to a good quantity and quality of jobs opportunity, increasing capital scarce and developing countries. Third one is the globalization increase cross-cultural understanding and sharing by boosting society rates in which are imposed to the culture and attitude values of people in other countries. 2. We learn how to become a member of a human society. And lastly is the perception. Social media involves making other influence on other mind. Mass media influence audience ways and influence both changes attitude and moderate behavior. Using additional articles or
Is there globalization without media? According to Arjun Aparuday, 1996, he stated that contends that advances in media together with migration, changing migration patterns as people easily move around the world due to the advancement of technology and transportation. Lul added, this fundamentally changed the human life and gave way to globalization. Also in his article, Globalization in Media Creating the Global Village, forwards the idea that globalization could not occur without media. Globalization and media have proceeded together through time and supported these claims by outlining the development of media throughout time. The essence of this idea is simplified in the statement that media have made globalization possible.
It may seem impossible to call it globalization without media. It will be impossible for countries to interact with one another countries without the use of media. Globalization is the term used to describe the increasing interconnectedness of the world economies, cultures, and population as a result of cross-border commerce in commodities and service, technology and investment flows, as well as information. Without the use of media, it is impossible to achieve globalization. The media has a significant influence on globalization in two ways that are mutually interdependent. To begin with, the media facilitate the widespread international transition of cultural products, and they also contribute in the establishment of communication networks and social structures. Through worldwide news, broadcast television, programming, new technologies, movies, and music, the mass media are now considered as having a vital role in increasing globalization and allowing cultural interaction and numerous flows of information and image across nations.
Good day, I'm Cadet Reil Jr. Regala. My topic is media globalization a form of culture imperialism? So my answer is yes. So why? Based on my research and my understanding about this topic, media globalization is a form of cultural imperialism as the media is tied in with the culture concept which originate from the financial dealings of dependency. Nowadays, culture imperialism primarily presents itself in the media, particularly the mainstream media. One of the most obvious and significant means of communication on a worldwide scale is the media. The integration of media today, including books, movies, television, the internet, and also music, is a bigger worry for the cultural imperialism theory than it is for governmental and economic system. This is one-sided as was already established, because no media from the affected culture is exported to the influenced culture. The advanced core countries that predominate in media output also possess the majority of global media companies. Through new media and technical breakthroughs, globalization makes it easier for people to communicate across borders and promote their cultural viewpoints, and it is an instrument of cultural imperialism. With the media globalization, it exposed to cultural imperialism or exposed to these many cultures that greatly influence people around the world. So that would be all. Thank you.